Guys, welcome to a classic film review of 1969's The Italian Job, starring Michael Caine, Noël Coward and Benny Hill. Now, directed by Peter Collinson, it is, of course, the story of an elaborate heist involving a broad daylight robbery of a gold shipment on the busy streets of the Italian city of Turin, and the subsequent escape in a trio of red, white and blue minis. Now, one of the most iconic movies of the 60s, it not only spawned a pretty soulless remake in 2003, but 70% of the Fast and the Furious franchise owes this film a debt of gratitude for the heist via fancy car plot device that it's used to make billions of dollars. Now, The Italian Job is an ever so 60s and ever so British comedy crime caper that is a great snapshot of a Britain that was only just still swinging. Now, this is Michael Caine's defining role for me and features a script that's made up of about 80% classic quotes. Let's take a look. Now, The Italian Job has one of my favourite openings in a film, as an Italian gentleman is seen cruising around the Alps in his Lamborghini Miura as Matt Monro croons On Days Like These on the soundtrack.
Questi giorni quando vieni il bel sole.
Anyway, just as you get suckered into this dreamy romance. Now, this sets up a series of events that leads Michael Caine's Charlie Croker, freshly released from prison no less, to persuade incarcerated crime boss Mr. Bridger, played by Noël Coward, to OK an Italian job.
I've got a job lined up.
Get out of here.
It's all here. Maps, drawings, plans, everything.
You've been put up to this, haven't you? You've been bribed to upset my natural rhythm and ruin my health.
No, Mr. Bridger. Mr. Bridger, this is important.
Now, I do love Noël Coward in this. His British crime lord basically running the prison that he's trapped in with his British eccentricities.
UK balance of payments 1966 and 67. And I've also brought you the Illustrated London News, sir.
For why, Keats? For why?
There's a picture of the Queen in it, sir.
That's good of you.
Coward actually sees the robbery as being a good thing for British pride and a one-up on the foreigners. The robbery also coinciding with an England versus Italy football match. I wonder how the Italians felt about this movie as they contributed hundreds of vehicles and half shut down a city to accommodate it, despite the film's patriotism coming pretty close to racism a few times. Now, as I think I've said many times on this channel, that I do love a good heist film, and this, of course, delivers with a huge chunk of the runtime given over to telling us exactly how the crooks will pinch piles of gold in broad daylight. And despite the fact that Caine's gang are made up of overly enthusiastic Jack-the-Lads as opposed to expert criminals, everything goes according to plan. Almost.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Of course, I'm only assuming, but I can imagine when you think of Michael Caine, you probably think of The Italian Job and probably that immortal line. Caine was a superstar at this point in his career. His 1960s had already featured Zulu, Alfie, and a handful of Harry Palmer movies, and The Battle of Britain. Here he's the embodiment of that cheeky British gentleman criminal, a swinging crook, if you like, perfectly tailored, irresistible to women, and confident enough to mess with the mafia. Caine's one of my favourite actors, and he's great in this. Now, this is a movie, of course, entirely sold around the idea of the iconography of having three Mini Coopers being chased around various areas of Turin, which is, of course, the last act of the movie. Well, almost. But what precedes it is not only a great little heist movie, but actually one of the most bizarre films of that mid to late 60s period. Not being out of place amongst films like A Hard Day's Night, Here We Go Around the Mulberry Bush, The Knack and How to Get It, etc. And that would carry on into the 70s with TV shows like The Goodies. Of course, having the comedy legend Benny Hill in a key role in Caine's gang as Professor Simon Peach, the guy who can short out computerised traffic system but is a sucker for the ladies. The bigger the better.
Wait till you see them Italian birds.
Are they big? I like them big.
They're enormous.
Really?
Very, very, very big.
Would we wear stockings over our heads?
Oh, no need for you to.
Oh, I'd like that.
Which is interesting. I kind of forgot that this was a cybercrime movie, maybe one of the earliest examples, with the team messing with the hilariously dated computer-controlled traffic management system in the Italian city, all to bring traffic to a standstill so the team can grab the gold. So yeah, what everyone remembers about The Italian Job is that car chase, which is what the movie's all about, really. By this point in the film, plot points and storylines involving Caine's character's girlfriend, played by Margaret Bly, and the involvement of the mafia have just pretty much been dropped altogether. And although it might not have the high-octane Michael Bay-esque levels of vehicular mayhem, what it does have is inventive practical car stunts, as director Peter Collinson and his stunt team, a team that included legendary James Bond stunt driver Remy Julien, throw Mini Coopers off and along just about everything they can find. They go through shopping malls, down staircases, up and over buildings, including the roof of the Palavella in Turin, and through water pipes. Obviously, this being back in the days when the Mini Cooper was a bit more mini.
I could eat a horse.
Now, it's odd to think that The Italian Job wasn't that much of a big hit back in the UK in 1969, and it was almost non-existent in the States. Its farcical Britishness probably baffled everyone. Now, I'll stand corrected, but I think the biggest British film of 69 was Carry On Camping. It was a different time. Certainly a time when you could cast Noël Coward, Michael Caine and Benny Hill in the same movie. This was in fact Noël Coward's final film role, and he was by all accounts pretty ill on set and would retire from acting immediately after this, but his 60-year career is the stuff of legend. Now, if you know the film, you know that there's a famous ending awaiting the crew in their ill-gotten gains as they zip towards the Swiss border having their famous sing-song. It mirrors the opening sequence brilliantly, but obviously replacing Quincy Jones and Matt Monro with something more like a football terrace chant. Despite it being very much a slice of 60s cinematic nostalgia, The Italian Job does have a timeless quality to it. It's carefree and sometimes veers very close to parodying serious car chase movies of the time. Bullet, robbery, etc. It's certainly found its audience over time and has grown into a British institution. Now, it's unashamedly un-PC, and certainly in Benny Hill's comedy pervert, maybe not for some modern audiences, but everyone else can enjoy one of the great crime capers of the 1960s and any decade. Go check it out.
It's a question of prestige, is it?
Yes, Croker. It's a question of prestige. If you go through with this, you've got to win. If you buck it up, don't ever think of coming back here, except in your coffin.